back with a batchmate of mine, Karthik. Karthik was the rock star of our batch. He won the best overall performer in IIM Bangalore for the year 1996. And Karthik now is in a very interesting space. He's trailblazing a new business model, which is into micro ventures, right? And Karthik, do you just want to just quickly tell me what micro ventures is all about?
See, basically, the country has Brazilian entrepreneurs who have great ideas, and ideas always require some level of capital to get past. I mean, one would hope that on air and water you can make, businesses come alive, and one would hope you have rich friends and family. It doesn't happen often enough. And I think ideas and building businesses used to be the domain of a certain class of society. And I think those barriers have come down. We have very smart people, kids coming out with fantastic ideas, and it's not me too copycat ideas, but literally how to change the world. That's what we love. So why am I in the business? Not to just become a capital provider and a fat cat, but to help those stories come alive. So to help those stories come alive, essentially you don't require a public listing, a public market. You require very little capital.
And what size are we talking about?
50 lakhs to 1.25 crores.
Okay.
So $250,000 is, because all VC stock dollar terms, even in India. So that's kind of the range in which we provide capital. And capital, unfortunately, has become something which people only want to manage in large chunks. Nobody's interested in doing small cap. So somewhat, I mean, for your viewers, for what it's worth, it's the equivalent of microfinance. Nobody wants to lend to somebody because who's going to bother lending 10,000 rupees? Who's going to bother lending 10,000 rupees? So the microfinance industry was born, bloomed. The equivalent for people who want venture capital. So it's risk capital. There is no difference from microfinance. There is no payback per se unless it takes off. So in my head, I have to be prepared to write some of these down. And you're taking that bet. And a little different from the way debt is given, where you're assessing credit risk. Here you're actually assessing human capital. And as much as it is about the idea, it's about the two guys who come. Can you look them in the eye and believe that these guys are actually out there, not to try and make a quick buck and off you or off the market, but actually have a passion to change something.
But surely this model, see, unlike if you have 100 crores and if you're investing in 5 companies, it's a lot easier administratively to manage. But you're saying with 100 crores I'll invest in 200 companies potentially. So how do you actually make the administrative part of it work?
So slight difference. We're not planning to go crazy about this because there is a limit to how much the process can have, how much process you can build around handling it. It's not just about the administration though. It's actually about going and sitting with these entrepreneurs once every 2 weeks, right? And so if it was just an administration, you can say there's an ERP or some system to actually set this right. It's not about that as much. So there are two parts to it. We think there is the 100 crore amount has been well thought through in an Indian context. With what's going on in India, with what a crore can do for an Indian startup. So why not 10 lakhs? Because 10 lakhs won't do enough. Why not 300 crores? Because I don't require that much. So the model is very simple. We take about a third of our capital and only those play the small checks. So we get a spread of about 30 companies.
Okay.
And then the rest of it is reserved for the winners.
Okay.
Because the winners are not necessarily recognized by the bigger venture firms soon enough.
Even after they have won. Yeah, fair enough.
Winner for me, but he might have a mile to go before he's worth 10-15 crores.
Got it.
What if he requires 2-3 more in the next round?
I see.
I need to step up and support my kids in some sense. So it's like the baby's born, you're handling them in kindergarten equivalent, and you're supposed to see them through primary school, and sometimes nobody picks them up at primary school. And you see them through secondary school as well. And then your graduation is pretty much putting them to college. That's when the VCs say, what a great idea. How did they reach here? And hopefully Bloom had a role to play.
Fantastic.
And from a management standpoint, limiting the madness, they have to have a method to it.
Totally.
So 30 companies also is not easy. So we're 2 partners, we will have a team of maybe 2 other people. But even that, we don't know everything about every domain that we are investing in, to the extent that we can go there and get our hands dirty. So we're trying to surround ourselves with very seasoned folks from those segments. So we have a couple of mobile guys, a couple of software guys, a couple of FMCG guys, all as either domain experts or advisors. So they become our go-to guys for those companies
Got
which
it.
have those specific issues.
Got it.
Likewise, can you build partners who help in hiring, accounting, statutory staff, debt fundraising? We're actually trying that for the company. Small bankers who will then take your company to a $3 million round if you don't have the bandwidth. So you need that surround sound. I mean, there's only so much you can do humanly in a 18-hour day. That's probably how much we put in nowadays.
Fantastic. This is really cool because I think this is trailblazing, as I was saying in the beginning, right? You know, you're trying to create an entirely new market. I think it's fantastic stuff and definitely something
I
that
have to believe in what I'm doing as much as I believe in the startups that I'm.
Why don't you give me an example of a company that you've invested in? If you can't get into names, that's fine.
No. I mean, if you look at our site, there are probably 10, 12 names there. It's public. We've actually made that many investments already. So we are fairly active in the market. And there's no secrecy around what we invest in. We in fact want to tom-tom it. We want the world to know that Bloom's put its weight behind these. And therefore get the attention of the next round of capital. More importantly, if a startup goes to both even a consumer or channel partner, so there's an e-com guy, nobody knows who he is. The consumer doesn't have that much of a trust issue. But his channel partner makes a huge difference if you say Bloom's put in $1 crore.
Totally.
We are venture funded. So we advertise it, number one. So these are companies, predominantly for us, we don't give too much capital. We don't give too much of what's called in the VC jargon runway, which means they have to take off in 12 to 15 months. So by definition, these are businesses which are not, it's almost like a negative list. You can't have too much real estate risk, too much capital intensive capex risk, you can't have too much large team risk. So can a nimble team with very little capital bootstrap and get the product out of the door, get traction, get customers in a 12-month period, which means default technology. Technology has to be an enabler.
Totally.
So it doesn't have to be, like if you look at e-com, it's actually a retail business.
Most games have to be game-changing by that definition, isn't
Right.
it? Right.
Game-changing in a shorter period of time have to be technology. That's what excites us. And I think rewriting the rules of how the world works, using technology as an enabler is the driver. So that's what we are focusing on. So we have done stuff in clean tech, mobile, software, and internet software.
Fantastic.
Actually, since I'm very excited about our most recent deal, might as well bring that up. It's not public yet as well, so if it helps you in breaking it on your blog. There's a company in Bangalore called Sportsnest.
Okay.
They were from a sports background, they understood sports, they understood the gaps in the supply chain, they understood how painful it is. You wanted to go and pick up a badminton racket. And essentially said that it's not just about taking that racket and giving it on the site. How do you change the customer buying experience? Can you tell the guy why this racket versus another one?
Yes.
Can you show him what is better about this racket? Can you create your own videos? Because by the way, most of these products don't have their own marketing and visuals.
Most of them are coming from China or Taiwan or whatever.
Yeah. Even the branded ones don't visually market them.
Totally.
If you go to a sports store, it looks like a warehouse.
Totally.
A retail sports store looks like a warehouse. So, and the supply chain in sports is pretty messed up. It's very unorganized. So there was a room to revolutionize supply chain, customer experience, and create that wow, and do the right thing about the classic e-commerce principles, which is price, convenience, information. Can I compare things? Do I know what to buy? Do I know what kind of shoe I should get for my squash court, etc., etc. And can I do it across all age groups? So if you go to a lot of shoe stores, they'll have only certain sizes, even sports stores, etc. Things like that. So e-com solves all those problems. And that's what excited us. These guys knew the business, die-hard passionate, building the business from scratch, imagining, keeping the Zappos guys in the US as their role models, saying delivering happiness is what we want to do.
Absolutely.
And so it has to be, it's not just another e-com play for me. And that is my first e-commerce bet.
So
the other that's seemingly a conventional business, interestingly, but it's actually path-breaking the way we see it. It's LED lighting. But basically the guy figured out that when they started off, they said there's a lot of buzz around LED. but oxygen prices are going to come down. It's going to become affordable. It's going to replace the CFL bulb eventually. And how are people installing LED here? By assembling pieces from all over the world. And the Chinese stuff sucked.
Yes.
It was lab tested not for Indian conditions, for some European conditions. So this should actually go bust. The LEDs are supposedly have a life of 20 years.
Yes.
These guys developed the technology which stabilizes the current, which can basically do wonders for you.
Fantastic.
By the way, since you're an ex-Infosys, their first big success was powering lighting for 11 Infosys campuses.
That's cool.
So about
What's this company called?
Prompt Renewables in Bangalore again.
Fantastic.
So Bangalore definitely, where you're coming from, is definitely the hub of innovation. No, half our portfolio is there. There's a lot of pressure on us to have presence there. I travel a hell of a lot to make up for it into Bangalore. But I think very innovation-led, very entrepreneurial in terms of the energy that it's inculcated in the last 5 years. So these guys are the big achievements to date. When we met them, they were a small 3 crore company. They might end this year with 30 crores.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, so it's one of our bigger stories. Typically not what we would fund. We love the entrepreneur. We love the fact that, and I was asking this guy for his statistics, I haven't got them yet. So if you power all of Karnataka's roads with LED, it's like building a multi-100 megawatt power station.
Fantastic.
So people are obsessed about, we'll build solar, wind, etc. All you need to do is change the bulb.
Change the existing consumption. Absolutely.
Change the bulb. I mean,
Totally.
Yeah. So and essentially, you change the bulb and you can revolutionize
That's so cool.
power output, right? And so they've begun baby steps, but the big break came this year, which is where the big numbers come from. They convinced a very big toll road provider in this country to switch a 60-kilometer stretch to LED. The biggest ever stretch of LED road in this country. This went on stream last month in the Ahmedabad Bombay.
Wow.
Single project out of 15 crores.
Okay.
So this is the scope of what can be built up.
Fantastic.
So that's what we're passionate about.
I think that's really cool.
Writing new stories, changing the way India works.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And do you have any innovations in the way you acquire funds as well? I mean, are you looking at it very differently from what a traditional guy that's looking to raise funds would do?
Yeah, typically the fund management business is very institutional. And you'll be surprised, about 90-95% of the funds deployed in India through the private equity venture route are not Indian money. It's raised abroad. Indians think they don't want Indian risk. They get enough of it. And the foreigners think this is an emerging economy, 20% return for opportunities is great. They get 5 or 8. We've turned the tables. All our money so far is domestic.
Fantastic.
We've managed to convince Indian entrepreneurs who believe that we're at the cusp of something big to actually believe in us, to be able to give these kind of entrepreneurs the money and say that you can do a made in India in every form, from end to finish. So right now it's all Indian entrepreneurs, Indian ideas, largely India-centric, funded by high net worth.
Brilliant. See, everywhere there seems to be some kind of an innovation here, right? I think it's fantastic, Karthik. Really appreciate the...
No, thanks for the opportunity.
Absolutely. And best of luck with your 100 crores.
Thank you.